Okay, so now that we know the scores and how to get those scores, let's talk about how to actually start with strategies. We're going to start with the IELTS Task 2 in writing. Why? Because that is typically the most difficult or challenging part of the IELTS exam for non-native English speakers. The first part of the IELTS Task 1 has a component where you must write at least 150 words. You will have 20 minutes and question types can vary. This is on both the academic and the general. But depending upon which test you take, you may have a different IELTS Task 1 for the general than for the academic. We'll come to that in a minute. Task 2 is for both the academic and the general. And here you have a minimum of 250 words that you must write. It's a 40-minute test and question types vary. Obviously, if you have 40 minutes, you have to be very careful and strategic about what you write, how you write, and you must also keep timing top of mind. Now, what are they specifically grading you on? They're grading you on 4 things. First here is grammar. Second, vocabulary. 3, task response. And 4 has 2 components, coherence and cohesion. What does that mean? Do you have the correct grammatical structure for communicating in English? And we're talking about the basics. I, you, we, they, he, she, it. Do you understand possessives, pronouns? Do you know subject-verb agreement? The essential components of the English language are there. And you must be able to have a command of these to even begin to get or look for a higher score on the IELTS. Second, vocabulary. The IELTS has a number of topics that will be covered, and we'll look at those in the next slide in a second. And you must have a working knowledge and or mastery of the vocabulary for the topics that are being covered in the IELTS. Basic vocabulary is fine, but to get a higher score, remember we're talking about a strategy, you must understand how to use specific vocabulary for specific topics at the right time and the right place. Task response. Did you do what the IELTS exam asked you to do? That's very important. Following instructions is important. Why? Because when you get to university, if you're taking the academic IELTS, you'll need to understand what your professors are asking you. If you're going to be working in another part of the world, you'll need to understand what your colleagues will be asking of you. So task response is very, very key. Understanding what you're being asked to do. Lastly, coherence and cohesion. Coherence, clear. Are your ideas clear? Are they understandable? And cohesion, are they well put together? So, do you have the grammar basics to communicate in the English language? Can you deploy the right vocabulary for the right topic? Do you understand what is being asked of you in the topic or in the section of IELTS that you're taking? Are your ideas clear and well put together? So let's take a look at vocabulary. As I mentioned before, you have various topics: the natural world, leisure time, transportation, culture, health, and tourism. This is the first set of words. Now, you will not be asked to or tested on your ability to have meaningful vocabulary in every section. You may get questions in the speaking on what you do for your free time. You may get an essay in the reading on activities, hobbies, or sports. Or you may have to write an essay on something like shopping or obesity, well-being, or health. You need to be able to have the vocabulary, because vocabulary in one section gives you better leverage in all sections of the IELTS. So if you take a look here, we'll just deal with the first slide, the first section in the natural world. So there may be something about nature or various types of animals in nature. So you'll need to know what words like extinct species mean, environmental impacts, what that implies, okay? Surrounding effects, plant life, forest, desert, global warming, or even an industry like logging. And this applies to all aspects of the IELTS in terms of topics and vocabulary. So I would take some time and learn 3 or 4, maybe even 5 words from each section. Learn the words, practice writing them down, using them in sentences. And when you are speaking with people who are native English speakers, use these words. One of the biggest challenges is that even though there are those who study English, they don't use it in their home environment. So if you study English in class, but you go home and you speak your native language, you're going to lose a lot of that learning. So it's very important that you practice on a regular basis using vocabulary words in a natural environment or natural setting. You can even get someone that you know at home to practice with you, but you must practice on a daily basis. The next slide, you have categories like business, society, education, as we can see, and technology. Technology obviously is one of the most important topics now, particularly with something like AI or ChatGPT. Again, you would need to identify several words here that you can learn and you can practice. If there are words that you already know, do not focus on those words because you are wasting time. Focus on the words that you do not know and need to learn so that you can be better equipped to take the test and use the words in various parts of the exam. Again, if you go home after class, for example, and you are using your native language, try to include English in your natural environment. The same applies for those who are coming home from work and or professional settings. This is going to help you later in the exam. We'll talk about more on IELTS Task 2 in the next video.